You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It's your host, Brian Fullerton, here hanging out with you guys. Hope you are doing well. Trust you're doing well. Well, we actually have a great in-guest studio. It is the beautiful Wifey for Lifey. How you doing, babe?
Hey.
It's going to be a great time here. We're going to be just sharing you guys a short and sweet episode. I said this on the last episode, babe. I said
it was like an hour long.
Yeah, it was 57 minutes long. And then Marty, Mr. Producer, got to add his 2 cents to it. And it took it over an hour. And I was like, I promise it'll be 15 to 20 minutes, right? So I kind of blew it on the last one. So maybe a little redemption here. What we wanted to talk about for a few minutes, and I got Liz on the podcast here because I wanted to get her input on this topic, something that I feel that she can absolutely relate to and weigh in on better than anybody. And,
gosh, no pressure.
Yeah, right. Is talking about the mental entrepreneur roller coaster that a lot of us experience as small business owners. This is going to be a fun one. I was spitballing some ideas to Liz upstairs, and I said, "Hey, do you want to jump on this one with me? Because if not, I'll bang on a solo episode. But you have to deal with Mr. Manic Depressant."
It's not just you either. It's like everybody else that you know that has a channel. You all call each other to commiserate, and I listen to these conversations.
Every other entrepreneur I talk to kind of deals with this. It's like the high highs and the low lows. And actually, this podcast was inspired by a coaching call I did just yesterday evening with a guy named Chase. He's probably listening to the podcast. Great dude. He's out of Georgia. And we talked for like an hour on a coaching call, a little bit about this, a little bit about that. And after about an hour and 20 minutes, he goes, "Hey, I got just one other quick question. And if it's another topic for another time, no big deal. But he goes, how do you stay motivated when things aren't going your way?" He said, like, how do you stay positive? How do you stay motivated? He's like, if I can be honest with you, I have high highs and sometimes there's low lows. And I was like, man, that's a really good question. So that's what I wanted to do is I want to talk to you guys about what works for me. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a psychiatrist. I could probably use one of all the above. But what I want to do is just talk to you guys for a few minutes about what's worked for us and how Liz also helps me when I have those low lows, how to pull out of those. Because as an entrepreneur, there's good days and there's bad days, right? And I think that this is going to be a fun episode that Liz can weigh in on and maybe give the revealing behind the scenes about how Brian's Law Maintenance actually works. Because everybody thinks it's just all sunshine and rainbows, right? Because they watch the highlight reel, which is YouTube and Instagram. But behind the scenes, like, we're real people. There's bad days that I have. There's unenthusiastic days, unmotivated days. Sometimes, frankly, I just want to come home and take a nap. And I'm just like, I don't want to do anything. So, but you know what? At the end of the day, we have goals. We have things that we're trying to accomplish. And so we do have to keep moving the needle forward. So it's easy to, double down on a win, but it's even more tough when you have an L. And so I want to talk to you about what I do when we're facing and having wins, but then also what we do to mitigate the losses and the dips. And we're going to jump into it. So you ready for this one?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, let's do this really quick. We got to pay the bills around here. Let's kick it over to Marty, Mr. Producer, to bring you guys all these show updates and announcements, and we'll come right on back.
Do you use fuel in your business? Do you use fuel in your off-road equipment? From lawnmowers to trimmers, blowers, generators, and tractors, if you use fuel in your business for off-road purposes, you are owed a 100% refund of fuel tax. On average, that's about $600 a year for users of Fuel Cred. How do you get your money? That's easy. Fuel Cred is the #1 fuel tax refund app on the market. Just download the mobile app. Connect a credit card and Fuel Cred does the rest. It automatically logs your fuel transactions, finds the cheapest fuel based on your fuel habits, and automates your fuel tax refund. Download the free Fuel Cred app, get your fuel tax refund, and save up to 40% on fuel today.
Are you ready to make some serious money this winter with snow and ice management services? Are you looking to position yourself as an industry professional and to protect your bottom line from issues like unstable salt prices? Don't get left out in the cold this winter. Head over to debtfreelandscaper.com to check out the highly sought-after commercial and residential snow plowing contracts. These agreements are available for internet download and are easy to edit and make your own. Debtfreelandscaper.com, the green industry's most professional resource for lawn and landscaping contracts, hiring employees and subcontractors, and where you'll find the same money-making commercial snow contract that numerous contractors like Brian Fullerton have used to dominate the snow and ice management industry. industry. DebtFreeLandscaper.com. Head over to DebtFreeLandscaper.com to get access to these incredible resources today and put yourself in a position to plow through the competition.
You know why your back hurts and your posture sucks? Because you don't have Darwin's grip for your trimmer. Now you can stand up straight, reducing fatigue and strains, and even achieve precise trimming by getting you closer to the line. Save 10% with Brian's 10 at darwinsgrip.com.
All right, good deal, guys. Well, let's just jump right back into this. We're going to keep this thing short and sweet. Like I said, we're going to land the plane here at about 20 minutes. So we got 17 minutes to give them all the good stuff. So now it's really no pressure, right? No, and sometimes I like the longer episodes. Sometimes I like the shorter episodes. But this topic, I would just want to keep it short and sweet, just kind of focused on this one topic. And let's just be honest with you. You and I, we've been working together for 10. We've been together for 8 years, married for 6. We've had to learn each other. Right? There's days where I'm a little bit more melodramatic. Yeah. There's days where you're a little bit more of a driver.
Our personalities are different in the sense where, like, when I get angry or upset about something, it kind of motivates me. But you, when you get angry or upset about something, it demotivates you. Yeah. And at first it was very frustrating for me because I don't understand your personality type sometimes because it doesn't make any sense to me. So you do take a lot of naps when you're upset, which I think you've come to recognize is something you need. Like, that's just your way of you getting your space. Like, you're back in your headspace. Yeah. I think you have trouble when you wake up from the nap to, like, then feel better. Like,
well, I always recluse. My personality type is, I say it 100 times and very few people still believe me that I'm like an introvert. And I'm not like overly charged up when I get around people. Like, I love hanging out with people, which is funny considering that we run a social media business and like YouTube and Instagram and live events, right? So when I get around people, it doesn't charge my battery up naturally. It does for you. You love crowds and events and social gatherings. For me, I'm like, it's kind of draining. But when I run a business, I'm like, look, we got goals and there's things that we got to accomplish and there's things that we want to do. But there's also times when I get unmotivated. Whether it's competition or just a bad day or customer chews me out, all these different things. There's sometimes that I'm not like motivated, right? Yeah. So we always talk about like this entrepreneur roller coaster, and I didn't make that up. I've heard that from a long time ago from a lot of different people. Is the roller coaster goes up and there's downs, there's peaks and there's valleys, and sometimes there's a loop-de-loo, and you're like, what just happened there? That was different. And what I wanted to talk about that I was explaining to Chase was. And Chase had we had a really good conversation, but at the same point, he goes, can I just be honest with you? Sometimes like I'm trying to stay, motivated. Sometimes things don't go our way. Like, how do you work through this stuff? And I just was like, look, dude, I don't have like 5 steps to stay successful and stay motivated, but I'll tell you what's worked for me. And the first thing I wanted to talk about was something that we've learned together is we've had to learn our personality types, like you just said, right? Mm-hmm. And we had to learn like when the other one's motivated to double down on that. When somebody's not motivated, maybe not bring up certain things. And I don't know if that's more marriage, but sometimes it's business related too. Mm-hmm. And I think that one thing that we both have learned that when we're having a win, what's worked for us is to double down on the win. I think when you're having a great day with social media and Instagram or creating photos or your Etsy business or just, having a good day at the house, like Teddy's being normal and eventually one day we'll have kids. I have a wolf dog. I mean, he's crazy. And, and then sometimes same thing with me. I'm like, I have a YouTube video that performs. I have a good day doing lawn care. Like everything goes smooth, no breakdowns, no nothing. We're done by 3, 4, 5 o'clock. And that's a good day. Mm-hmm. And I realized like, now individually, we have to double down on those wins. I think that's the first thing that's worked for us is to, when you're having a good day, double down on that kind of success.
Right. Yeah. Instead of celebrating, I mean, it's not a bad idea to stop and celebrate like those little victories, but like to keep going and to double down, like you're talking about, I think is really important.
Well, and for me, that's something that like, if you, here's one thing, like if you get a customer, like a new customer, you close an account, you're excited. Like you had a good day in business, you're excited. You feel motivated to like go pass off flyers, to go make the next customer phone call, to go make the next bid or estimate. Right. And I think that's something that I've learned for me is that when I'm feeling motivated, double down on that to ride that high. Mm-hmm. Like I was listening to Paul Jameson today while we were doing some leaf cleanups, and he was like, man, when I do a podcast, I feel charged up. Like I feel motivated. Like I feel on fire. Mm-hmm. And Paul's like motivated to probably go do 2 or 3 more podcasts that day, right? And that's what I'm talking about here.
Because you're in the momentum. Once you have them, like it's easier to keep the momentum going than it is to full stop and start again.
I agree. I think that especially like, you know what kills excitement or what kills momentum is the next day. It's sleeping. It's when you go back to bed, whether it's a nap or you go back to bed, the next day you don't wake up with that same excitement or energy from the day before. Mm-hmm. Like there's a shelf life on it. And that's something I wanted to really help you guys understand too, that I've noticed works for us. Like when I have like a banger video, we do a great day doing lawn care and we're done by 4 or 5, nothing breaks, everything's working. Everything's going good. I come home, the wife's happy, all this stuff. And I'm like excited. But then when I wake up the next morning, it's like, ooh, I'm just like...
Sometimes you can just wake up in a funk. And I think that's when it's important to realize, like, feelings aren't factual. Just because you're feeling a certain way doesn't mean that certain things aren't going to get done today. Like, that's when you have to put your business owner hat on. Actually, my coach, when I was skating growing up, I figure skated for the longest time. And I had, kind of a weird childhood. And I would show up to practice with, stuff in my head that was happening at home. And my coach would just tell me, hey, okay, that's, because she knew my family life, but she would recognize that, allow me to feel my feelings. And she would say, okay, ready? We're going to step on the ice. As soon as you step on the ice, all of your problems can't follow you out there. They stay, on the mat, the rubber matting. And, we have to think like that as a business owner. If you had a crappy day or say you had a really good day and you just woke up the next morning in a funk, that's fine. You're allowed to feel that way, but that shouldn't be allowed to get in the way of what you need to do to move your life forward.
Yeah, I learned that back at, or something similar at Little Caesars when I was working there way back at the day, because I was a store manager for a hot minute. And they had always taught us that, like, everybody carries a backpack full of rocks. And they said, like, once you come to the front door, like all your employees and you and all that, leave your backpack and all your rocks and all your stones at the front door. Like when you come into the company, you come into the store, like it's all sunshine and rainbows. Put your positive hat on, put your, business owner hat on, and leave your problems at the door.
And what I think you find too is when you, kind of not necessarily drown out those feelings, because like I said, it's healthy to feel those things. You're allowed to feel upset about something. But when you start activating on those positive things, like just putting one foot in front of the other to take that next step, you gain that momentum back and you feel better. The more you do it, the longer you do it, the more you feel better.
Well, that's how we kind of keep the positive with the momentum going forward. For me, I know this sounds kind of weird, but I try to double down on wins. When I'm having a good day, I try to stay doubly motivated, doubly excited. And usually I'll stay up late. I'll stay up till midnight, 1, 2. I'm excited about doing as much as I can with that energy, that momentum, like you were just talking about. Mm-hmm. Now, let's go to the flip side, because I think that's some of the stuff that we all deal with more than the positive. Because, naturally speaking, like when you're having a good day, you're just having a good day. It's the bad days, I think, that can derail us more than the good days. I think that the bad days, equipment breaks down, employees don't show up, you get done cutting grass at 4 or 5 o'clock and you think you had a banger day, and then you get a random phone call and, Miss Jones wants to chew you out because, you missed one tree in the backyard and then she, puts the knife in and then twists it, and then she says like all the sins, right? You guys always, right? Which we always say that like in marriage, never say like you are always kind of a deal. But she goes, well, you guys always miss this and you always miss that. And you're like, listen, we've had 22 weeks out of 26 weeks this season. You've never called or complained once. And now all of a sudden she just goes off on you. You guys miss the trees and there's always grass clippings in the mulch and you guys never edge. And it's like, listen, lady, we do a good job every time. This is the first time you're calling to complain. And then what happens is like, you just, all this nastiness, this yuck, it comes all over you. And then what happens? You get home at 4 or 5 o'clock. The wife says, hey, how's your day? And then, as you're walking upstairs, the cat trips you. So you kick the cat. And then because you kick the cat, you're all frustrated. And then you go to your wife and you say, no, I'm just so frustrated. I hate lawn care landscaping, And then you go, well, who pooped in your Cheerios, right?
Yeah, I don't really allow that when you come in the house. Actually, you're allowed to have like a bad day. But what I really don't like is when other people bring their bad day on other people.
Yeah, for sure.
And as you, like, when you're married especially, it's your responsibility not to let your bad day affect your husband. It's not
or vice versa.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. Like, that's where it kind of like torpedoes downhill. Cause then, then you start billing people, then you start doing this. And then like, maybe you have kids or something like that. And you're like short with your kids, short with your wife or husband. And it gets tough, but here's the deal. Here's what I was telling Chase is that for me personally, 2 things that I want to talk about. One is minimizing the lows. And then number 2 is giving yourself a certain amount of time to be low. I think that's something that's really helped us over the last 6 or 7 years in our relationship and our marriage is that, and I think we read it out of like Love and Respect or one of those books, but it talked about like, if you're having a bad day, like don't let it go on like indefinitely, like put a time limit on it. Like, so if you get home and you're frustrated, like give yourself 10 minutes, a half hour, or
usually
an hour.
Like what I do, if I'm having a bad day, you recognize you're having a bad day and then come up with an activity that you're going to give yourself a set amount of time to feel those bad feelings. Like go take a shower. You have 10 minutes, go cry in the shower if you need to. I don't really care. But after those 10 minutes,
I'm not crying,
like,
you're crying.
It's not that I am depriving myself of feeling those things because that's not healthy either, but it's recognizing that you need to move forward now.
Right. That's huge. Like don't let it go on to the next hour, the next week.
If you really, really think about it, if some customer ate your Cheerios or pooped in your Cheerios, whatever you said that morning, and you're going to let that affect your whole day, there's either something else that's going on or you need to grow up.
Okay, then. Well,
if you are that hurt over a customer saying something like that, then there's probably a bigger root reason for that, an insecurity in your heart about something, or you're just a baby and you need to grow up.
As Grant Cardone says, stop being a little bee, right? and that's true because the one thing that I've learned besides like the lawn landscaping thing is like doing the YouTube thing is that, man, we get the comments. I get comments, I get haters, I get trolls. Everybody does, okay? And it's 1.01% of like the audience, right? But man, like the stuff that people say, it's just made me numb to like criticism like that. I'm like, God bless you, dude, love you. God bless you, dude, love you. But back in the day, there would be a time when somebody would leave a negative comment, and I would like self-deprecate. I would be, imploding. I'd be like, I am a loser. Like, why would I do a video that way? Or why am I making review videos in my mom's driveway with little candy canes on the sideway of who am I to give this advice?
And I think that goes back to, if you have a really strong root of sense of what you're trying to accomplish, a big vision, a big root why, and it's bigger than just material things, then you realize, well, like those things that people say about you or that customer that was angry, like, yeah, it feels bad, but it's not going to stop you because your why is bigger than that person attacking you right now.
It pulls you through. I like that a lot. So what I want to talk about, and just to recap a little bit here, is when you got the highs, double down on them. When we have good days, things are going your way, and there's 100 different examples, right? But don't go to sleep. Stay up late, stay up till 10, 11, 12, 1. Double down on those successes. Write those emails, get back to those bids, make those extra customer estimates and appointments. If you're having a great day, go pass out an extra 100 or 200 flyers or postcards, right? Go work on your equipment, do your oil change. You're going to be excited. Don't do the extra stuff when you're having the low days. So what I wanted to talk about, number one, was put a cap on how long you're going to allow yourself to be mad, upset, or frustrated at whatever just happened. Customer chews you out. Hey, you know what? I got 30 minutes to be mad, to be frustrated, and to be like, man, screw that person or whatever, right? But don't let it go all day, all night, next day, next week. I think that's just something that's worked for me as a guy. I don't know if that just helps me compartmentalize. I don't know if as a lady, if it works the same way.
No, that makes complete sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause for me, I'm like, you know what? The reality is that it's probably not true, whatever she said. Maybe we messed up. Maybe we goofed up.
People are allowed to make mistakes. Maybe you made a legitimate mistake.
For sure.
Recognize it, learn from it, go get yourself a chocolate bar, give yourself 5 minutes.
Is that what works for you?
Yeah, chocolate bar is great.
A couple of Andy's mints. Little almond joy. All right, we know this is approach. So number one, when we're talking about the lows, is number one, set a time limit on those kind of things. I love what you said. If you mess up, own it. But if somebody says you guys suck as your company, and you did $150,000 last year, or $500,000 in sales, or $50,000 in sales last year, the reality is that you don't overly suck.
Yeah.
The reality is like this customer had a bad day. They took it out on you. And we've all heard in customer service 100 times before. And if you haven't, welcome to hearing it for the first time. But usually when somebody's mad or complaining, they had a bad day.
Right.
They had a bad day. You were the next in line for the firing squad, and you took it on the chin, and they're dumping all their feelings and emotions out on you. So that's why you still, when somebody goes to guns with you, you still kill them with kindness.
Yep.
Just say, whether it's in person or on the internet, hey, dude, no big deal. Sorry about that. We'll take care of it for you. And if that person disarms, you'll instantly, then you'll realize that they were just having a bad moment.
Right.
Now, if they continue to attack you, you can realize that you need to separate yourself from that person, that situation. Because like if somebody messes up my food at a restaurant, and I'm like frustrated, but I'm not overly mad. I'm just frustrated. Like, hey, you messed up my food. Please just fix it. Now, I'm not a mad person and I'm not angry, but it's just a momentary thing, right? But if somebody's like, oh, this sucks and this sucks and this sucks, it's like, dude, like we don't need to do business together, right? So to recap a little bit, when you got the highs, double down on the highs. When you got the lows, mitigate the time that you're allowing yourself to be low. And then number two, here's one other thing that has worked for us is don't make big decisions when you're mad, upset,
that's a good one.
or frustrated.
Yeah. This
is what I was telling Chase. I'm telling you, like, some of this is obviously marriage advice too, but guys, don't make financial decisions when you're upset. Don't make business decisions necessarily when you're upset. Don't say wrong things or bad things to your spouse when you're upset. What I like to do is like damage control. Like if I know I'm mad, I know I'm upset, or I know I'm a hornet, like I got to make sure that I like self-isolate. Right, I'm talking about COVID in 2020, like, self-quarantine. There's times when I tell you, I walk in, I'm like, look, I'm mad, I'm frustrated. Something is like, got my goat. Just leave me alone. And you're like, and that's just how we talk to each other. But but you're like, for sure, dude. You're like, all right, when can I expect it? I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to go cry in the shower. Like you did. That may or may not be true. But normally I want to shadow box something, punch a hole in the wall, or go shoot guns at the gun range. But that's what I would say is, don't make these hasty decisions when you're frustrated.
Yeah.
And
as good as it would feel like if you get like you have that customer that's just so mean and nasty that one time.
Right.
If it's just that one time, then
let it go.
Just let it go, because as good as it would feel to cancel them right on the spot and say some really mean words back.
Yeah.
You're probably going to feel bad about it later, and two, you're going to maybe unnecessarily lose business. That person could have just been having a bad day, and you don't want to ruin your reputation over a quick comment from somebody either.
I think long term, because that customer, they got mad at you, and if you just disarm them, hey, no problem, we'll take care of it, we'll come on back, we'll give you the free cut, whatever, no big deal. But think long term. Hey, that customer might be, and I'm not telling you guys to like always take it on the chin and be a punching bag.
Yeah, I'm not a believer that the customer is always right.
Yeah, like don't be the punching bag guy either. But at the same time, if that customer's worth $2,500 a year times 5 to 10 years, like, hey, dude, take it on the chin for $25,000. You know what I mean? Like, let that customer have it out, use some people skills to disarm them, and move on. So the other thing I'd say is, again, just to recap, highs, double down, just balls to the wall, have fun. Do as much as you can on whatever it is that you're excited about. Use that excitement, that energy, and that momentum. Because again, when you go to bed at night and you wake up the next morning, that energy and that momentum is going to be gone. It's just like a physiological thing. Number two, when you're having those lows, give yourself a time limit to be depressed, upset, frustrated, but then say, you know what, an hour from now, I'm going to emerge from the room, emerge from the bedroom, emerge from my truck, and I'm going to be chill. I'm just going to let it go, draw a line in the sand, recalibrate, and move on. And then number two, when you're on the lows, is don't make any hasty decisions. Don't say things, nasty to the wife. Just be like, listen, what's the old one that you say sometimes? Like, I got nothing nice to say, so I'm going to say nothing at all. And I'm like, well, that's fine. Then you can go away. And you're like, fine, I was already walking away anyway. And we fight. We're like normal people.
I feel like one of the biggest struggles in our marriage is when one of us is down and the other one is up. And it's just the one that's up is so frustrated with the one that's down for being down.
Yeah.
And it's usually me.
I'm like, hey, I'm mad, I'm frustrated. And I don't know. I just... there's so much data going into like life, and when you're running as an entrepreneur, you got hundreds of customers, suppliers, subcontractors, this and that going on. It's like, dude, anything can get your goat that day. Like 100 different things can like jump on you and attack you by 9 a.m. What
is the quote that you always say though? You can tell the size of the man by the thing that makes him mad.
You can tell the size of the man by the size of what makes the man mad.
Yeah.
And when you repeat that back to me, that doesn't help. What was getting me so frustrated like a month or two ago? Something was bugging me.
You dropped a watermelon down the stairs this morning, and I thought that was going to upset your whole day.
Yeah, that I was doing this leaf debris loader video, which will come out tomorrow or Saturday, and we were doing some fruit pumpkin chunking, and I had a little watermelon under my arm, and swear to God, bro, I'm at
I'm in bed with Teddy, and I hear something go dum 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 dum.
I was carrying a bunch of fruit out in a bag, and I carried a watermelon by my arm, and I'm at the top of our stairs that like goes down 4 steps, and then it hooks 90 and goes all the way down the flight, right? And I got this Milwaukee, like the little jacket on. It's like smooth, like super smooth.
It's like slippery. Yeah.
Slippery, smooth material. And so the watermelon like goes right through the 5-hole of my arm, falls down the 4 steps, clunk, 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 and I go, come on, dude. I'm thinking in my brain real time. I'm like, come on, dude. And then as it like starts to bounce, right, I go, don't you do it. Don't you do it. I'm like, no. And then it goes right to the edge of the stairs. And what does it do?
Hits the box that's been sitting there that I've been telling you to bring up the stairs for a week.
It goes over Niagara Falls and it starts boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom, the whole way down. I'm like, dang, this thing's actually pretty robust. The last step, it does like the 2 foot up bounce, comes down, just cracks right open. Watermelon juice all over an Amazon box we had down there. I was like, you gotta be kidding me, bro. and
I was like listening in bed to this happening, and Teddy and I both just like paused and like looked at the door, and sure enough, you come through, and you look so sad. I was like, I swear, Brian, if you let this little watermelon ruin your day, go buy another $5 watermelon.
I was like, of course it would. Why wouldn't it go down all the steps? Like, why? And I know you're thinking to yourself, like, is he going to be mad? Is he going to be mad? Like, no, I was so frustrated. But
it's
again,
actually really funny.
I laughed really hard because I told the story to Rob and Dave, and they were like, of course it would go all the way down the steps. Like, it's like, why not? But yeah, the size of the man, little quote there.
This wasn't a big watermelon, by the way. This is a little tiny,
little baby watermelon,
like personal size serving.
But if you stub your toe, you know, or you're drilling on something and something breaks or snaps, you know, it's like, dude, come on, like, grow up.
That's what I'm saying. You either need to grow up, or if that's what set you off, there's obviously an underlying issue that you need to address. That is going to take a lot longer than this podcast.
Yeah. One other thing that I wanted to talk about was, for one last quick minute here, is talking about finding ways to do stuff that's fun. Finding ways to like let off steam.
That is something we really did not do a great job of
last couple
up
years.
Until a couple years, I would say ago. When
maybe
we got
6 months ago.
No, when we got the bikes.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, the bikes. I think that was the first thing. We didn't have fun.
No.
We literally ate.
Building our business, honestly, was our fun. That was our date nights. That was like we were very unbalanced, but we were okay with it. We had the conversation about this is a limited amount of time that we're going to be doing this way.
Right.
We're going to be really unbalanced for the next like couple years maybe, but the outcome's going to be worth it. And if there's ever a point one of us decided that we didn't want to play that game anymore, it would have been fine.
Right.
But yeah, I would say like maybe.
Well, I'll say like riding the bikes was huge for us. Yeah. You guys like riding bikes?
It sounds so silly.
Well, and this summer I bought a one wheel because I'm like, I need to get air. I get in my office. I'm in there 4 or 5 hours editing videos. And guys, like editing videos is not easy. Like not like the woe is me, but like it's dude, editing videos, it's just 2 to 3 hours, 4 hours sometimes. I've spent 10 hours on a video. It gets 10,000 views. We make $9 on it.
It's always the videos that you spend the most amount of time on.
And I'm like, you got to be kidding me, you know? But it's tedious. And I'm like, I need to catch some air and some fresh air. And like, I don't want to be walking around my complex. I'm like, this is pointless. So I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to buy a one wheel. It's like these stupid ads have been zipping around on my Facebook all the time. So I bought a one wheel. Like to me, that's fun, is taking my dog and like going surfing around the neighborhood. Another one that I got into this summer, I'm just giving you some quick examples, was for me, it's shooting guns. It's something that I really have been enjoying doing the last 7-8 months. In March, I dropped like a lot of money on a lot of guns and ammo. It's an absurd amount.
With like pretty much the rest of the country.
With the rest of the country too. I think there's like 2.4 million new gun owners like the first quarter of 2020. Just insane, dude, with all the stuff that was going on. Well, I found that's a really good outlet for me. Like I loved it so much after about 2-3 months that for my birthday in June, you bought me a monthly membership to our local range.
Yeah.
And I go up there once, if not twice a month. My younger brother got into guns a little bit. But you know what? Just going to the gun range. I told Chase, not when you're like feeling really mad or angry. That's probably not the best time to go. Although that's not a bad not the worst time to go, but probably not the best time to go. But here's the deal. If you do this stuff and you take care of your mental health regularly, you'll help balance out these peaks and valleys. And it's the high highs, the low lows where we all get into trouble. You're schizophrenic. Your wife doesn't know what to expect. You don't know what to expect. Your guys don't know what to expect. Your customers don't know what to expect. And that's not healthy or safe for anybody. And so for me, like going somewhere once a week to ride my bike, going somewhere once a week to shoot my guns, going once a week, a couple times a week to ride the one wheel. I don't know all the like drug, you know, the chemicals in your body, like the dopamine and serotonin. Yeah. I'm not a huge guru on all that stuff, but there's a lot of merit to having this kind of mental health and this mental stability.
Working out can be really great too for your mental health. Great one. Working out is huge. Eating clean and eating healthy is one that we're just knocking out of the water. But these are things that I'm encouraging you guys to do. Some of you guys are into motocross, biking, paintball, high ropes courses, jet skiing, going on the lake, heck, going fishing. You know, just quiet time, going fishing, going hunting, just walking in the woods, you know, just hanging out with other friends and peers, that social, that relationship stuff. What I'm trying to say is there's great ways that you can minimize the valleys.
And what I said, put some time limits on how long you're going to allow yourself to be upset. Minimize those valleys. Try to keep them as not as bottomed out, right? Like let's have like little dips instead of big roller coasters, and try to not make any critical decisions on your life, your relationship, your finances, your business. Like don't have something break, have a super frustrating day, then go to the dealer and your sales guys say, well, dude, why don't you just buy a new mower for $9,000 if that one keeps breaking down on you? That's not the time to make a decision. That's not a time to make a decision to go buy a new mower for $9,000 or $12,000. You come home and your wife goes, we never talked about that. Now you have another $10,000 debt and $200 a month payment. And she goes, how are we going to pay for this? And then you go, why are you attacking me? Right? Like this is the kind of stuff I wanted to talk about. Like go home after the end of that day, go talk to your wife or your husband, talk about the equipment, talk about the mower when you're level headed. Right. Don't make these financial decisions. I'm going to go buy a new truck. My truck keeps breaking down. Don't buy the truck the day that you're upset. What's the, I think Chase said this one on the coaching call. He said, don't go to the grocery store when you're hungry.
Right.
I go, yeah. I go, boom, that's it, Chase. I'm like, you got it. He goes, all right, that makes more sense. To go full circle as we button this up, Chase had been in business for 6-7 months, having a great first year. And he's like, hey, man, this is fun. It's exciting. I knew it'd be challenging. It's been extremely challenging. But we were talking through his business, and he's got a lot of great stuff going on. And he's going to be, excited to double his business into 2021. But he goes, but can I be honest with you? I've had high highs. I've had low lows. He goes, I'm trying to moderate the lows. He goes, but what's been working for you? And this is what we talked about for, I think we were like an hour and 10 minutes into my 1 hour call. And after about an hour and 35 minutes, I was like, I spent another 15, 20 minutes just pouring into the guy, just being, as transparent as I can with what's worked for me. Again, I'm a business owner with one company for 15 years, the YouTube media company for almost 4 or 5 years now, married for 6, together for 8. This is just what I've noticed works for us. We don't have it all figured out, but I think if you can string enough good days together, day over day, week over week, month over month, that's going to help you have a good year. And those low days, we really try to look out for each other to make sure that we pull each other out of those valleys pretty quick. Yeah. So that's what I got. Any final thoughts that you want to?
I think really just sitting here talking about it, I think this goes back even to the previous, like maybe 2 or so podcasts you did. I know you did one on gratitude and we did one together on thankfulness or not gratitude, generosity.
Oh yeah.
Giving. And so if you are always operating in a space of being thankful, of looking for ways to serve other people and getting out of your own headspace and looking at others, you're going to have a lot easier of a time. And, keeping your successes when you do have those wins in front of you, when you're having those bad days, being reminded that just because a bad day doesn't mean a bad life,
right.
A bad day in business doesn't mean you have a bad business.
Right.
Those kind of black and white viewpoints on thinking aren't healthy. There's a lot we could get into with this topic, but I think you've covered it pretty well.
Well, the last thing I'll say is, I have high highs and low lows, just like you guys do. Okay. Just to be honest with you. And, there's a week that goes by where I'm like, man, my YouTube channel isn't XYZ PDQ. Why don't I have 1 million subs and 10 million views a month? Right. Cause it's like, you look at it and you're like, man, it's doing great. And then when you really look at it, sometimes you're like, how do I get it bigger? It just seems like this aircraft carrier that you're just pushing by yourself sometimes. Right. And I'm like, and I say all these like self-deprecating things which aren't healthy. I'm like, I'm a loser. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I'm stuck in the mud. And she goes, and you like walk me over there. You grab me by the hand. You walk me into my office, like our second bedroom, and you point me to the silver play button plaque. And you go, if you're such a loser, why do you have one of these? If you're such a,
I literally just did this a couple days ago.
but then you like, it's like the dog that like poops in the house. You like rub your face in it. You're like, if you're such a dork and such a loser, it's all these like self-deprecating things. Why is this here? Does everybody get one of these? And I'm like,
and a lot of those feelings stem from when you're comparing yourself to others. If you're having a bad day, is it because you're comparing your business to somebody else? Has that person been in the business the same amount of time as you, or do they have a 10-year, head start on you?
Right.
So you can't play the compare game either because it's going to make you miserable.
Whatever, dude. You guys see that I'm still working through this stuff. I'm a regular dude, just like you guys are, man. There's high highs, low lows.
I feel like I need to sit you down and a couple of your buddies and just smack you up with some truth sometimes.
Final last story I'll tell you. It's funny because like one day I was at home. This was like I think the same time last year, maybe in the winter, and I had a phone call with B&B Lawn Care, and hopefully they don't mind me sharing these stories. But B&B calls me, he's like, dude, I'm a loser. My YouTube channel's not growing. I don't have anything going on. Like, what do I do to make it big? How do I figure it out? And I'm like, hey, dude, hang in there, bud. Like, it'll work for you. No big deal. And so we had this like cool little 30-minute powwow and gave him some encouragement, and he's out the door. I think like literally the next day, Kalfas calls me up, and Kalfas is like, dude, dog, what up, dog? He's like, what up, dog? And he goes, dude, he's like, man, he's like, you passed me on YouTube subscribers. My channel sucks. That's what we all do as guys. We're all playing the compare game.
Like, melodramatic men on lawnmowers. It's hilarious to me.
Well, Kalfas is like, dude, I can't get it to work, man. And like all this stuff and my business. I had this customer chew me out. I'm like, hey, bro, it's no big deal, man. Like, stay positive, all this other stuff, right? So I send him out the door. And I swear to God, like 2 days later, I remember I was having such a downer day.
Stan.
I was like, I think I called Stan. And I'm like, Stan, I'm a loser. All this.
I'm listening to all of this happening, just rolling my eyes.
And Stan's like, Stan just like literally doesn't take
put up with it.
Stan just takes up on me.
You know what Stan says? Grow up.
She's like, grow up, dude. Grow up, dude. Well, then I go back to you, and I'm like, she goes, what did Stan say? I go, I don't like Stan. And it's funny because the very last thing that I'll say, which was what you had said, was, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start the Lawn Care Wife's hotline for $99. You call me. I'll do a coaching call. I'll pump all you guys up. I'll give you all this encouragement for 20, 30 minutes. Tell you that you're a winner. Tell you that you're awesome. Get my little air pump machine out. Pump you guys back up, and then send you guys all back out the door. So stay tuned for Liz's coaching calls. Where I don't know, my coaching calls are pretty nice. Liz would tear you up. She'd be like, "Stop being a little bee. You know, you said you wanted it. Do you really want it, or do you really just want it? You know, do you kind of want it, or do you really want it?"
It's funny because I'm sure people hear my voice and they're like, "Oh, she sounds so nice, and your voice is so high pitched and like whatever." I'm like, really, I'm not that nice.
Behind the scenes, is like, get back out there. All right. Well, that's where we're going to leave it. By the way, Chase, if you're listening, we had such a great phone call. It was such a good time hanging out with you, helping you work through your business in 2020, and excited for the growth and the gains you're going to have in 2021. If you guys listen to this, hopefully you guys enjoy it. It's just being authentic.
We went over double what we said we would.
Yeah, this is exactly the 15 to 20 minute podcast. And I promise. So I don't know what happens at that level. But well, let's do this. I'm out. This was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
When you got the highs, double down on the highs and the wins.
Yeah.
When you have the lows, mitigate the lows. Don't make crazy decisions in the lows, and put a time limit on how long you're going to allow yourself to be low. Last thing on that is, if you're feeling low, or your mental health, or we're just going so busy, so hard, especially like in the spring, those first 10, 12 weeks, you got to do something fun. Go break it up. Go change it up. You're like, yeah, dude, I can do $1,200 on Saturday doing leaves and pruning and mulch.
That's cool. Is it worth your marriage?
Yeah, it's not. There you go. It's not worth your mental health. Take a day off once in a while. Go relax on Sundays. Go shoot guns. Go play paintball. Go for a bike ride. Go fish. And there's go watch a movie, right? Like, go take a nap. If you're cranky, go take a nap. There's a lot of grumpy men out there that would just...
I think the world would be a happier place, in Brian's opinion, if everybody would just take a nap.
I that's my transformative thing. After 30, I said, you know what? Everybody could use a nap about 3:30, 4 o'clock. Naps. And not everybody loves naps. And then last but not least, stay tuned for Liz's coaching calls, where she can motivate you, and she can just punch you in the gut if you need it, slap you on the butt, get you back out there, and make you guys rock and roll. All right. Well, that's all we got. My dogs are going crazy. Thanks so much for joining us on this podcast, babe.
Of course.
I really appreciate your perspective, and you can tell we're together. And, I'm like, I'm going to be successful. And then Liz is behind me going, that's right. You better be. You better be. Blink if you're in trouble. I'm giving the signals to Marty, Mr. Producer. Bail me out.
Oh,
all right, let's kick it back over to the best producer in the biz, the guy that always got something fun to say. We'll kick it back over to Marty. Thanks so much for listening. We'll catch you up with you guys on the next one.
Bye.
It's true. Behind every successful man, there stands a strong woman. In my case, behind this successful man is a very surprised woman. By the way, melodramatic men on lawnmowers, what a great description or name for a future podcast, or at least a show segment. Let's see, let's turn on that switch there. Melodramatic men on lawnmowers. I'm still collecting some 5-star ratings and reviews to read on a future show. So write yours today over at Apple Podcasts. And if you work Melodramatic Men on Lawnmowers into your write-up, I'll make sure it gets read. Do you use fuel in your business? Do you use fuel in your off-road equipment? From lawnmowers to trimmers, blowers, generators, and tractors, if you use fuel in your business for off-road purposes, you are owed a 100% refund of fuel tax. On average, that's about $600 a year for users of Fuel Cred. How do you get your money? That's easy. Fuel Cred is the #1 fuel tax refund app on the market. Just download the mobile app. Connect a credit card and Fuel Cred does the rest. It automatically logs your fuel transactions, finds the cheapest fuel based on your fuel habits, and automates your fuel tax refund. Download the free Fuel Cred app, get your fuel tax refund, and save up to 40% on fuel today.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.